Commander, our special secret service of the DPA army have contacted the enemy, and we have made a deal with the enemy to capture their super duper HIMARS Gundam super weapon of greatness of Slava. Anyway, they have agreed. We have paid them half the money, and they have agreed to leave that super weapon hidden, as if we will actually accidentally found it at the position of the like button. Go and claim it. However, there are enemy troops hiding and position entrenched at the dislike button, so be careful not to go near there. We will accidentally come across this super weapon at the like button. This mission depends on you, Commander, so that we can capture this super weapon of our enemy. Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 141 and 142 for 14 to 15 of July, the past 2 days. So not a lot had happened in a strategic sense, but anyway, we'll still have to cover it. And so let's go to the first item, which is usually, as usual, Shaolin Monks or Crossborder Shellings. So at the Crossborder Shellings, the Ukrainian and the Russian side continue to hit each other, and of significance is that the Ukrainians actually launched some kind of a raid into Bryansk region, into Russia itself, and at the village of Chernozemny Gorodok, or Cherozemny. So, and while they are doing that, they also do a drone strike on Novye Yokovichi. So other than that, we also have drone strikes, shelling reported at Nekislitsa here, and they continue to shell Tetkino. So I have indicated this as a entrenched position for the Russians, because Tetkino had been hit by the Ukrainians so many times, and the Ukrainians also hit drone strike Graveron as well as Dronovka. So the Russians, of course, also are not doing nothing. They shelled Porovska, Starikove, Zarutsky, and Budevny, as well as Hryhorivka. Is there any more? Oh yeah, there's one more here at Doroshivka. So this cross-border situation continues to get worsened, I guess, in a way. But the Ukrainians resorting to drone strike, and usually their drone strike is basically just a quadcopter flying over and dropping a mortar or a grenade or something, and it doesn't seem to do much. It's more like a terror tactic of sort. So not sure what's the endpoint for the Ukrainians on the border here, and for the Russians it does continue to seem like they are just trying to soften the defenses around this region, and also of course to keep the Ukrainians on their toes, to not withdraw away from the northern side. So I was talking about I think on Twitter I guess. So previously we have this northern front, right? We have all at Sumy, Chernihiv and Kiev region, and the Russians withdrew. So one of the theory that came out was that the Russians launched the northern front partly is to hold up Ukrainian troops so that they cannot go and help the eastern front, and since then, after supposedly allegedly probably maybe that they have completed their so-called mission, they have withdrew, and we all thought, like in a very superficial way, that the Ukrainians will actually free up themselves and actually go to the east. To a certain extent, yes. However, Ukrainian forces continue to get held in Chernihiv and Sumy region. And because they're still worried that the Russians will actually invade again from this area. And all these bombardments are just warnings for the Ukrainians not to leave this area. And in a way, without losing so much troops, because when the Russians were in Sumy, Chernihiv and Kiev region, they are taking a lot of casualties. They are taking a lot of casualties, so as such, they are not able to they do not need to take so much casualties when they are actually holding within their own Russian border. So this is in a way the best scenario for the Russians, where they actually not get so much casualties but yet able to continue to hold the Ukrainians up north. And not to mention this entire area have to be fed, and logistics have to be sorted out. The people have to be paid their pensions and stuff. So, and of course they have to fix the road, repair all the bridges they blow up themselves, and all this whatnot. So it is in a way pretty advantageous for the Russian forces. Of course, I think most of the heavy equipment have been taken to the Eastern Front. So should the Russians actually do push in again, it's going to be hellish for the Ukrainian defenders. And there's also this I think this Ukrainian Defense Ministry Twitter account. They showed a picture showing the entire borderline from all the way from Belarus to the Russian border, all the way to the entire front line. And they quote, this is a super distance. This is how long the distance, and they actually stretches from Spain to some other European country. To highlight, what is the kind of the line, the defense line they have to hold, which is actually rather of semi-fake news, because the Ukrainians themselves are paranoid about the Belarusians. They themselves position troops here to, because they are always worried that Belarus will actually enter war. And also at the border area, they themselves are also not trusty of the Russians to not invade again. So as such, so even though we have all this talk about the 1 million strong army, probably they're never going to hit 1 million because they're always taking losses. They have to be spread across this entire line of the border as well as the front line. So from my own estimation, I guess that even if it is 1 million strong, once you spread out across all this region, plus of course you have not just at the border but also internally to control all the maybe various transport hubs and city defending certain locations, the actual frontline troops does not actually have a numerical advantage over the Russians, because the Russian forces really concentrate all their forces around this region. So as such, when you spread out the forces, maybe the numbers actually are quite equal. So which is probably why we are seeing a lot of problems from Ukrainian side, where their offensive are just not strong enough to push through Russian lines. This is something that this is my own observation and my own feeling. So I may be wrong. So moving on to the Southern Front. At the Southern Front, nothing happened. Except two times Sukhoi 25 of the Ukrainian Air Force got shot down over Belozerka. Belozerka also have another name called Bamashovo. So you probably might not be able to find if you actually find Bamashovo. Maybe you can because I found it through Google Maps. So yeah, I'm talking rubbish. So anyway, yeah, so these two planes got shot down. Otherwise, there's actually no active fighting for now. There is some talk about Ukrainian trying to restart their offensive. So we haven't seen anything of such just yet. Moving on to the Zaporizhzhia Line. At the Zaporizhzhia Line, fighting is reported at Kayamsky, and this is reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. I just want to emphasize again, for those that didn't watch my last summary, virtually almost half of my reports come from the Ukraine Defense Ministry, and the other half is mostly pro-Russian sources, and with a small percentage actually coming from the Russian Defense Ministry, because Russian Defense Ministry reports nowadays are rather pointless. They are always talking about how many things they kill and how many stuff they destroy, but it's not there isn't there isn't many things that I can plot onto the map. So other than some plane destroyed and maybe if there are, which nowadays there aren't, missile strikes on air bases and railway stations, so or bridges. So there isn't most of these things don't exist in their report. So only a minimal amount of things is actually coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense report, because there's nothing much. Half of the things I plot is actually from Ukraine Defense Ministry. So for those like to accuse me of not being balanced, you need to take a look at your own mindset, and you have to take out your brain and wash it, and then put it back, and then you can actually maybe think better. So anyway, and so this is actually coming from the SBU, the Ukrainian secret service. They reported two Russian Sukhoi 25 actually tried to attack Ukrainian positions around Kharkiv to Stepov, around this region, and then the Ukrainian manpads actually hit both of them. One of them got destroyed, the other one was damaged and actually escaped. So one was destroyed. This is the first Russian shoot down I have seen over the past maybe at least 3 weeks. So so this is by the SBU. So the problem with the SBU telegram, or the information is that they do put out a stupid amount of propaganda, and I'm not even sure if some of the information are real or not. So but anyway, I saw this, which was not reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. Anyway, I just put it here. So hooray. Okay, so anyway, the fighting at Okhivsky has kind of died out, which is actually corroborating the story here, where the attempted reconnaissance failed, and then some people died and then they retreated. So this fighting actually don't exist now. I didn't see anything on it. The fighting at Balakliya, so now we are at Donetsk Front, and the fighting at Balakliya also is not, I didn't really see anything about that. So very quiet all this way. There's definitely still artillery shelling. When I say it's quiet, it's actually not so quiet. It's just that there's no ground assault, no ground offensive. It's just artillery duels all the way. Of significance is that the north of Donetsk city, the Russian forces has captured Kayamka. So this information coming from Intel Slava, that say that Kayamka has been completely liberated from the Ukrainian forces or Ukrainian control. So this location here, this Kayamka, you might see this as a really small village. The fighting, the Russians have been trying really hard, to capture this position for a very, 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 very long time, and somehow it only take until now before they capture it. I have drew the front line along this water body here, and we shall see what's come next for Hryhorivka, because Hryhorivka is one of the fortress of the Ukrainian military. It is extremely hard to break, very, very well defended, and they have their own version of Azov style on the northern side, so not easy to take Hryhorivka. So this I don't think there will be frontal attacks to try to capture Hryhorivka. They'll probably try to do some rear action in order to encircle it, to drive the Ukrainians out of this city. But it's still far away. I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon, despite my prediction was the capture of the entire Donetsk Oblast by the end of this month. Yeah, so that's why don't go into prediction, don't gamble. It's bad for health. So there's nothing else up here except for there is this MiG-29 shot down over Troitsky. So this is according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So that's all I think from the Donetsk front. Moving on to the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, oh, what happened to my rabbit? Okay, wait. So at the Bakhmut front on the southern side, a rabbit have with these 2 years have developed over on the position of Bohorodychne, as the Russian forces here attacked Novoluhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and this is reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. You see, I say half of my stuff is from the Ukraine Defense Ministry, and this information as well. So they have attacked these two positions, but it did not seem to have succeed of any success, according to the Ukraine Defense Ministry. The fighting at Kodema is based on the map by Ryber, seems to come from the south, so which come from Dolomite area. This fighting is also corroborated by the Ukraine Defense Ministry, where on two separate reports that they mention assault action in the direction of Kodem, which is actually Kodema. So the fighting continues, but the Ukrainian defense is actually holding up. You can see the number of blue pimples all around here. All these are entrenched positions. So these are all entrenchments. You can see, just look at this network of entrenchment. So it's not going to be easy for the in case what you wonder, what is this is actually a position for armor or tank to fire, and then you have the trench line. So there is a lot of entrenchment all around this place. So the Russians are not going to have it easy to capture all these locations. There is fighting reported at the Balakliya power plant. So this is based on the latest Ministry of Defense of Ukraine report, where they say that after overloading the attack on Vergliagskaya TES, combat operations continue. So they are fighting around this area as well. So this entire southern part of Bakhmut front start to flare up. Let's see where it goes. And we also have a Ukraine Defense Ministry corroborating Zola of the renovation on the attack on Vershina and Vesela Dolina. So no, not for Vesela Dolina. The corroboration is only for Vershina. So Vesela Dolina is reported on the same report by Zola of renovation. Then there is no result on this fighting just yet. Let's delete this. This is a very old, very old report. Fighting continue at Perovsky. No progress there. This fighting at Hryhorivka is basically no more. No reports of fighting here anymore. There is fighting continue at Soledar. There is reports coming saying that the Russian forces have operational encirclement of Soledar. Basically, they say that they have fire control over all the retreat routes. Basically, there's only two roads, one road here and one road up here. So which is actually not exactly difficult to so-called have an operational encirclement. And previously, long time ago, we have this information of Russian position entrenchment at the 2 kilometers north of Soledar. So which is why it is possible that they have fire control over the roads around here. And it's not surprising if the Russians actually have a push in a southern flanking movement to have fire control over this road. So maybe there could be Russian forces around here. So if we take a look at this situation in terms of the mapping, not mapping, the what do you call it? Geographical features. So let's see. So that is Siversk. So let's orientate myself a while. Soledar is here. So if you zoom in, you can see that there is some high ground here, and other than that, it's pretty flat. It's rather flat, and there isn't really much of a there is this slight curve up. So if the Russian forces go along this forest line here, they will be able to hit this road, this entire road south of Soledar. So this part is a bit more complicated, but probably there is Russian forces infiltrating into the city as well. So not sure what's happening. The Russians seems to be really very conservative in this offensive this time round. It seems like the long operational pause gave the Russians a lot to worry about, because there is too much time, which is why it was my surprise that they actually rest for a good 10 over days, and this allowed the Ukrainians to actually build up their defenses and set up a proper defense plan on how to deal with the Russian offense. Russian offensive is very obvious where they will hit next. You know, they will definitely go for Soledar, they definitely go for through Spene to Vimka and take Siversk. So given how obvious the Russian offensive is going to come, there is a lot of reservations, you know, on the Russian side, because the Ukrainians probably have very good plans on how to defend and how to, you know, entrap or maybe set some traps and, you know, and for the Russians to step in. So the progress are slow. Despite the fighting has flared up pretty heavily. There's no progress at Hryhorivka. There is this by Suryak maps. They say that Russian forces is attacking from Naherne towards the road, which is this road, which means that the Russian forces have captured Naherne, and fighting still continue at Belohorivka. This one is still no change. The Berestove, similarly, there's no change here. Moving up north, Spirne is continued to be disputed because the name is called disputed. So it's very, very disputed now. As the Ukraine Defense Ministry reported that while the Russian forces is trying to seize the village of disputed, they received stiff resistance and suffered significant losses. And somehow, I'm not sure why is this word they use, infamously withdrew. I'm not even sure if this fighting is famous. So disputed is continued to be disputed. So so perhaps, you know, the talk about the capture might be a bit premature. Perhaps the fighting between Ivano-Darivka and Spirne continues to be fighting. No change there. Verkhan-Okayamske, very interesting is that it is actually disputed by Ryba itself. So the Ryba reported that there are battles for Verkhane-Kamenskoye, and the capture of which will reach Siversk from the east, which means that Ryba itself, the pro-Russian analysts, do not agree that Verkhan-Okayamske has been captured. And this is actually something I observed, that there is starting to have this divide between most of the pro-Russian sources and Ryba itself. Ryba, they seem to have this some sort of a parallel universe start between these pro-Russian sources. And yeah, so we shall see how this goes. So this is the question mark now. In terms of Siversk, the situation at Siversk is also peculiar. The Luhansk People's Republic reported that they have operational encirclement of Siversk. However, they also did not capture the city, the town of Siversk, and reportedly progress is very slow at Siversk. The reason was given is that they are worried. So this is the rumor now. They are worried that they are falling into a trap, because the Ukrainian forces withdrew pretty quickly from Siversk. There are still some small elements in Siversk, you know, engaging the Russian forces, probably as bait to drag them into the city. However, the Russian forces seems to be reluctant to take the bait, and they say that there are high grounds around Siversk as well. So that would make Siversk very hard to defend. So I also want to show you in terms of this high ground situation. So this is Siversk, and if you actually look at Siversk, this is toward this. We are now looking west. You can actually see that there is this hill area here. This is this hill, and is slightly higher on that side as well. So the most significant is actually this hill. So this is Siversk. You can see the train station here, and the Ukrainian forces can actually, entrench themselves over this forest line, this first line, and then the second forest line around here, there, and then of course around here as well, and then maybe around here. So they have oversight over the entire of the town, and they can provide a fire support or suppression fire from the hill. However, this is not particularly as it is a strategic thing, but it's not as big as if you see on Twitter, it might seem like as if this is going to be like a mountain. It's not really that case. Remember, if if they can see you, you can see them. So which means that this entire forest line is going to be bombarded, by Russian artillery and Russian air force. All this location is going to get airstrike. So it's not so straightforward as saying, oh, I got the high ground, Anakin, give up. No, it's not the kind of situation, because you on the high ground, you can see the Russian forces, but the Russian forces can also see you, which means that fire can also be launched at them. In warfare, the only reason you have advantage on the high ground is mainly because if you try to take that position, you have to charge uphill, and that is actually more tiring and much more difficult. People that's on the high ground side would actually have an advantage over the troops that are trying to rush upwards. So traditionally, historically, that's the case. But in modern warfare, there's no need for the Russians to actually rush up the hill. They just bombard you until you cannot take it, and then you actually leave, run away from that location. So we can see this situation, during the Severodonetsk and Lysychansk battle, where Severodonetsk is actually on the lower ground, just like in Siversk, then Lysychansk is actually built on the higher ground, like this. But there is actually no clear advantage for the Ukrainian forces at Lysychansk. It's not that much of an advantage. So, but of course, it is still some sort of advantage. It's just not that big. So don't put too much weight on that. What I would say is more dangerous for the Russian forces at Siversk is that over the hill, far away, so Siversk is here. So over this hill area, if the Ukrainian forces have positioned artillery here over the hill where the Russian forces cannot see them, and they fire all over the hill into predetermined locations. That means the spotters in the forest see Russian forces stepping into certain trap, certain kill zone. Then they can call on artillery to hit them and destroy the entire Russian forces. That is the trap that the Russians are probably worried about, and that's exactly what happened in Bohorodychne, where the Russian forces tried to cross the river here, and they got bombarded the hell out of them, and all of them, most of the forces that tried to cross the river got destroyed. And so that's the danger, that's the trap that the Russians are probably worried about. It's not really the hill. The hill can be bombarded as well. You can see them, you can bombard them, and with tanks even sitting this far away, around 5 to 8 kilometers, I think it's not exactly impossible for even tanks to hit positions here. Don't even talk about artillery. So that's my take on Siversk. And I cannot, if you are pro-Russian, then you can only blame on the operational pause. They paused for way too long, to be honest. They really paused for way too long. And anyway, I did mention a long time ago as well that this entire chain along the entire road is a very strong defense line that the Ukrainians should hold, and they are now holding. So it's not going to be so straightforward for the Russians to take. But we will see. Perhaps the Russians have some ingenious way to defeat this new line of Ukrainian defense. So should we give it a name? Never mind. Okay. Hryhorivka continues to be disputed. The Ukraine Defense Ministry reported that there are shelling at Hryhorivka. So this situation at Hryhorivka continues to linger, and the fighting at Serebrenka is unclear. So perhaps they are fighting around here, perhaps not. Perhaps they moved here, and but then the Ukrainian forces that were previously withdrawn to a more southern line along this forested area is giving the Russian forces that go along the road a lot of problems. So which is why probably we continue to see fighting at Hryhorivka. Perhaps the Russian forces have captured the village, but they are unable to eject the Ukrainian forces in the forested area, and causing this continual fight between the two sides here. This is only 1 to 2 kilometers, so this is a very short distance. I think at 1 kilometer, I think even rifles are still pretty much effective. So fighting continuing in this area. So the entire front line is pretty much jammed up as of now. So moving on to the Izyum front. At the Izyum front, we have a MiG-29 shot down over Druskivka, and a MiG-29 shot down over Sloviansk, as well as a Sukhoi 24 shot down over Sloviansk as well. So losses continue to mount. I think the past 2 days, around 2 to 3 planes shot down on the Ukrainian side on a daily basis, which is actually a lot, given how expensive planes are and how difficult to train pilots. So now Bohorodychne is the center of the multiverse. So first we have reported capture, by Interslava Hryhorivka news, saying that Bohorodychne has been captured based on the information from the Luhansk People's Republic. And then we have the dispute from the Ukraine Defense Ministry saying that there are there are rocket strikes or barrel strikes, artillery strikes on this location by the Russian forces, and also of course airstrike. So which means that if you read the Ukrainian version, then the Ukrainians are still at Bohorodychne. And then we have Ryba. This is the latest information coming from Ryba. They say that the Ukrainian forces actually withdraw to the area of Bohorodychne after suffering losses in the skirmish, which means that even Ryba views Bohorodychne as still under Ukrainian control. So now we have no idea what the hell is happening here. So the story of just now what I mentioned is that there is some Ukrainian forces trying to cross the river near Bohorodychne, and they were ambushed by Russian forces, and the unit suffered losses and retreated. And in that sense, we can also deduce that the entire northern side of the river here is all Russian control. So we can actually move this a bit here. Yep. However, oh no, I moved the entire thing. Wait, give me a while. I need to move this back. 4-4. Yeah. So this situation continues to be a bit of a weirdo. So does the Russians actually capture it or not capture it? We have no idea. So we're just gonna leave this as a gray zone for now. The situation on the rest of the fronts, I think the fighting at Donetsk is sort of invalidated. I don't think there's anything there. Fighting Dolina, Krasnopilia, as well as Kuruka continues to be raging, as well as Mazanivka. There's really not much information. I don't even think there is actually an active offensive, which means that what I mean is that the Russians are firing and attacking in a standoff way. That means they are firing from distance at the Ukrainian positions, but they are not exactly attempting to actually capture all these positions. So which is why we are seeing this very stagnant situation here for months already. So don't expect too much from here for now. Moving up, we have both Russian and Ukrainian. So the Ryber reported there is Russian shelling on the position of Pryshep, which is here, which actually corroborates the information from the Ukrainian side that from the Ukraine Defense Ministry that reported Pryshep was under Russian shelling. With these two information, I can deduce that Pryshep is actually under Ukrainian control. So this is actually clear up one of this gray zone or gray situation here. So yeah, congratulations to the Ukrainians. At Kharkiv Front, there is this weird information from Ryber saying that the Ukrainians are trying to identify positions of the Russian forces in the area of Stary Saltiv. So that puts a question mark on Stary Saltiv. Is it the forested area, or is it in the town area? So did the Russians actually capture Stary Saltiv? No idea. So it's a question mark there. Bayrak and Ukrainka. I haven't seen information about Ukrainka and Bayrak for a very, very, very long time. So this question mark is actually outdated. So it's Rubizne. Moving on to here. There is fighting here at Veliki Prokori, Pitomnik, Dementivka, and Prudianka. But the most so-called reliable information, the most latest information is that the fighting is at Svilishne, because all this fighting was reported previously. Not sure if they are still actively fighting around here, but this one Svilishne is still reported to be fighting based on latest information. There is also no more information about fighting at Rudy, but we're going to leave all these fighting icons here because I believe these are all primary battlefields. So anyway, I feel that I'm very long-winded today, and this is the summary for the day of 141 and 142 for 14th and 15th of July. And so for those that have not subscribed, please subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, then YouTube don't want to introduce this channel to more people. So I need you to subscribe so that they can say that, oh, this guy is a subscriber. I need to introduce this to other new viewers. Yeah, because that's how the algorithm works. They mark a certain percentage of new viewers for each video, so they have to hit the target. So if more of you are subscribed, then the algorithm will have no choice but to actually introduce the channel to more new people. So so please help to subscribe, and I will see you in the next update.